trying to get at is that these Africans had not lost their Africanness. They were fighting in an African way. They were living in an African way. They had physical training in an African way. They were not this time imitating Europeans and falling into traps. It was not until early in the 19th century, early in the 20th century, that African missionary-trained Africans began to wear European clothes, develop European tastes, and become Europeans in blackface. What we need to look at, the end of the 19th century, all over Africa, when African people were losing their Africanness. We need to look at it all over the world, with West Africa. In East Africa, the fight for Africa's soul between the Catholics, the Protestants, and the Arabs, fighting over the soul of Uganda. The white fathers, those the Catholics, had armed their converts. The Arabs had armed their converts, but the British had armed their converts better than the rest, so the British got the upper hand. And once the British got the upper hand, they won. But the British did not take away from Uganda the fact that Uganda had moved too far away from their Africanness. Uganda today is the most Catholic country in all Africa. And yet they maintain the four kingdoms that Idi Amin misunderstood. Had he understood them and ruled through them, he'd still be ruling Uganda. But the loss of the Africanness along the coast of East Africa, it had started with the coming of the Arabs, who had no respect for the matrilineal system. And if you travel in Africa, in West Africa and East Africa, notice that in East Africa, the men are mostly in charge of the marketplace. Notice in West Africa, the women are mostly in charge of the marketplace. Because the Arabs destroyed the concept of matrilineal, they installed the patrilineal, a form of male supremacy. While in West Africa that was Islamized by Islamized blacks who knew what part of the culture to leave alone. So they left alone the matrilineal system, though they were converted to Islam. Certain prerogatives they had before, they could maintain, and they could react to it. Now, the market women in West Africa have a court, have an entire society based on market women, the Sunday Society. These are very powerful women, and many of them control large sums of money, and a few of them are millionaires. And every man, you go to Senegal, you see different men in the marketplace, nearly every man rents his concession from a woman. No man is out ranting that these women are ruling everything, they got all the money. Because he understands that the marketplace was a reserve for women. East Africa don't understand it because the Arab traders, being male chauvinists, would not trade with women. It's a pity that the brothers who belong to the religion don't understand the religion and cannot separate Islam from Arabism. Once you separate Islam from Arabism, and once you deal with the statistics that there are probably 127 million Arabs in the world. Most of them live in Africa. There are more African Muslims than there are Arabs in the world. What am I saying? I'm saying that if you want to belong to the religion, inasmuch as you are the majority in numbers into the religion, why don't you seize it and be the caretakers of it and give it a direction over and above that of corrupt Arabism? I didn't say leave it. I said control it. I'm saying give it a concept that is distinctly yours. Muhammad Amadou Bambara in Senegal created a sect of Muslims that was anti-Arab. They don't even go to Mecca. So I would not go pray to an Arab dog. They have a mosque right there in Senegal, at Touba. I'm not asking you to do this. I'm saying that certain Africans have imposed distinct Africanness on this religion to a point where they have made it African. I'm not saying change religion. I'm saying Africanize everything that's a part of your life. And everything, religious, politics, social, fraternities, everything must become an instrument of your liberation, or you must throw it into the ash can of history as wasting your time. All people convert organizations into instruments of their liberation. While we outpoke the Pope and out Muhammad, we are Puritans, and we follow it as laid down by someone else without reading into it a concept that is distinctly ours and approaching it in a manner that is distinctly ours. As we look toward the 21st century, we don't have much time to waste. We don't have much time to get ready. If we're going to be an African people, we can't be dreaming all the time. If we need to stop talking about apartheid until we train some people to take over South Africa. I mean, don't tell me about apartheid. How many diamond cutters have you trained? How many mining engineers do you have? So you take over South Africa right now, all you have to do is turn it back over to white folks to rule. They mastered the mechanics of getting the stuff out of the ground. And you could have done that. How many students do we have at the Colorado School of Mines? We built airports for people in the United States. You mean to tell me we can't build an airport in Africa? There are blacks in charge of the harbor in New Orleans and in Newport News. You mean to tell me we can't go to Africa and be in charge of the harbor? I'm saying that to be African again is that Africa, outside of Africa, must draw on the strength and the talent of African people all over the world. We must have a Pan-African agenda that goes beyond what religion you belong to and what fraternity and sorority you belong to. You really don't need to belong to any of them, because the Greeks had no fraternities and sororities before they came in touch with Africa's secret societies.